Today's webinar, like you know, is about electronic file security best practices. What really spurred wanting to do this webinar is I think that most of you signed up from the notification that went out earlier this week that we are moving to a new file sharing tool called Protected Exchange, which is our own in-house file sharing tool. So we're going to give you a demo of that, show you how that tool works, and talk a little bit about best practices for electronic file security. Quick introductions in case you don't know me. I'm Callie Bransford. I'm the web team manager here at Build Your Firm. So that means that I manage the team that builds and designs and maintains your website. And I also help to manage the teams that build all of the tools that come with your website. So that'd be the file sharing tool, Protected Exchange, your newsletter tool, as well as your social media posting wizard. Basically everything that's included in your client dashboard. So I worked very closely with the team that built Protected Exchange, so I'm excited to sort of walk you through the tool today and sort of show you some of its benefits and get you ready to use it. A quick look at what we're going to talk about today. I'm thinking we'll maybe be here, I don't know, about 25 minutes, maybe a little longer if we have a lot of questions at the end. I think I set aside about 45 minutes just in case. What we're going to talk about is why you need to be sending your files securely and what it is that makes something secure to send files. And then what I think most of you are probably excited to see is the demo of Protected Exchange. I'll walk you through how the tool works and get you confident and ready to use that tool since we're switching over to it. And then I'm happy to open it up to a Q&A and answer any questions that you might have about Protected Exchange after we see the demo. Like I said, if you haven't already, find that chat box so that you can post any questions in there. I won't answer questions during my demo. I'll save them all to the end, but feel free to ask me questions at any point throughout the webinar, and I will go back and look at any questions that you ask and answer them. So let's go ahead and get started here. It looks like we've got everyone signed in. So we'll start by talking about why you need to be sending your files securely. So obviously, I think most of you know in the course of the services that you provide, you gather a lot of pieces of really sensitive personal information from your clients. This can include financial information, tax identification numbers, financial account numbers, really just a lot of crucial and sensitive data. And if an unauthorized third party, excuse me, I'm having tongue-tied this morning, were able to obtain this data, it would really just cause a lot of damage for your clients. This information in the wrong hands could result in lots of different forms of identity theft, and that's why it's really important that as an accounting firm, you maintain control over the transfer of the files to assure that your clients are safe and their information is safe and not compromised. We know that a lot of you struggle to get your clients to sometimes take that extra step that's required to send a file securely, but I really think that you should try to aim to be an advocate for getting your clients to receive and send these files securely and really become an advocate just for only receiving files when they're done securely. In some cases, you may need to be the one who's sort of educating your client a little bit about the importance of sending files to you in a secure method. The scary truth is that hackers and spammers are getting kind of smarter and more sophisticated with how they get information. I actually found this quote from the American Institute of CPAs from article that they wrote recently that said, with the rampant growth of cybercrime, it's no longer a question of if a CPA, their client, or their organization might become a victim, but when. That's a little bit scary, but the good news is recent data also suggests that 85% or more of any security breach cases could have been easily avoided if they were just using reasonable security control and they had them in place at the time of the incident. So by sending files securely, you can avoid ending up in one of these situations. So let's talk about how do you send your files securely? How do you make sure that you're sending this important information securely to your clients? So first, let's talk about actually how not to send your files. With all of the rules and regulations governing the security of your client's sensitive financial data, you should never use email to transfer this type of data back and forth. Why don't you want to use email? The first reason is email is unencrypted data. Emails are sent in an unencrypted form, which means that it can be read if it's intercepted. So if this is in the wrong person's hands, then the content of that message could become compromised. The other thing is you have a lack of control over the transmission. To the sender, an email appears to go directly to a sender's computer. However, in reality, emails actually they sort of bounce off of lots of servers and different sites before they actually get to an email inbox. So you don't really have total control of everywhere it goes before it gets to where it needs to be. And then, of course, email accounts can be compromised. It's a lot easier for people to have their email accounts compromised if they're logging into their email from various public networks, maybe a hotel or a coffee house. If they don't have the proper secure login on an email, then their email account could become vulnerable. So because of these reasons, the best way to send your files and know that they're being sent safely and securely is to use some type of file sharing software. You want something that uses proper encryption, compliance capabilities, and activity reports that are going to allow you to track everything that happens on your system. So as a Build Your Firm client, you know that you have access to a file sharing tool. Currently, you're on what we call Motif, which is a third-party file processing tool. But now we are moving over to Protected Exchange, which is our proprietary file sharing tool. So let me tell you a little bit about what comes with Protected Exchange as far as what it's going to give you for security. Protected Exchange has 256-bit encryption. That's bank-grade encryption. It's the same encryption standard used by the US government. It's SOX and Gramm-Leach-Bliley compliant. It has audit trail capabilities, and it's also HIPAA compliant. So you have all of the security methods that you need in order to be sending your files securely. So at this point, I want to start to talk a little bit more about Protected Exchange and sort of give you a demo of how it works. Just to give you a little background information, Protected Exchange is our new file sharing tool. The file sharing tool currently on your website, which is Motif, is a third-party tool. Motif works well and is secure, but it was missing a lot of functionality that we knew that our clients really wanted in a file sharing tool. So last year we decided that it was time to bring this tool in-house so that we could have control of it and build in all of the features that we wanted. The other nice thing about bringing this tool in-house means that we won't be changing it on you again. This will be the tool that we'll always use going forward. Protected Exchange is similar to Motif in some senses, in the sense that it sends and it receives files securely. It's compliant, as I mentioned, and it has that 256-bit encryption. And it's designed for sending and receiving files. It's not designed to be a file storage tool. Just to go over really quickly, since I know most of you are currently using the old file sharing tool, Motif, some of the biggest differences and upgrades in this new system. So Protected Exchange is a portal-based system. It means you and your clients log in to send and receive files. Clients set and reset their own passwords, so there's no more remembering passwords on your end. Protected Exchange gives you more control over your account. This means that you can now edit, add, deactivate, and invite clients without our involvement, as well as other customizations that you have with your account. You also have more control over your files on Protected Exchange. You can choose when you want to delete your files instead of having to wait for them to expire off the system. And you can also search for files by name or by sender or recipient. And Protected Exchange just overall gives you more options when sending your files. You can choose to send a file with like a default message, like in Motif. You can create custom messages, and you can send it right inside that file sharing tool. So there's just a lot more customization when it comes to actually sending the file. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop into Protected Exchange and take a look at how it works so that you guys can kind of see it. So Give me 1 second here. I'm going to exit out of my presentation. And I'm going to pull Protected Exchange over to your screen. So this is an example of what the login screen looks like for Protected Exchange. Just like you have with the file sharing tool that you have now, you will have a link that you can send your clients to send you files. So any of the links currently on your website that you currently have in your email signatures, you would simply replace them with your Protected Exchange link. So each firm will have its own unique link, which will bring them to a login screen that looks like this. When you're ready, you can go ahead and log into the system. So let me log in here. And it'll bring you to the Protected Exchange dashboard. I'll talk a little bit about how all of this works and sort of walk you through how it looks to send files. But first I want to pop into account management, which is over here on the left navigation, just to give you a look at all of the management options that you have. So obviously you have the option inside Manage Account to change any of your information. You can update your password, update your own information. And then inside of firm settings, you can set all of the information for your accounting firm. The nice thing about this tool is if you're actually a BizPayo user, this tool integrates with BizPayo, which means you can add a BizPayo link directly into your signature in this tool so that you can send a file and ask for payment in one step. And I'm actually going to show you how that looks. So for this account, I'm going to go ahead and put a BizPayo link in here. And I'm going to save that. And so you'll see now when I go back to Manage Account that this person in their signature would now have a click here to pay us link. And that would be at the bottom of every file transmission that comes from the system. So it's kind of nice that you can sort of add all of those customizations in here. Next option would be firm users. So this is where you can add any staff or employee into the system that you want to be able to use it. And you do have a little bit of control over how you want your staff and employee added. So if I wanted to add a new user, I would click the Add a New User button and fill out their information. And at the bottom, I have two sort of levels that I can choose for them. The first one allows this person to have bulk actions, meaning this person would be able to bulk delete files. If you wanted them to help you manage your files, you would choose yes. If you don't want them to be able to bulk delete files, you would choose no. The other option allows this person to see all files in the system. So if you choose yes, this staff or employee would be able to see all files coming and going on the system. It doesn't matter who's sending them, what client, they would see them all, and they would have access to all the clients too, so they could send files to anybody. If you don't want this staff person to be able to see all of the files, you can choose no. And in that case, you can assign just specific clients to this employee, and this employee would only see files associated with that client, and they would only be able to send files to that client or clients. You can assign multiple clients to an employee. So you have a little bit of control on how you want to do that as well. Like I mentioned, this system is like Motif in the sense that files do delete off of the server after a certain amount of time. Files don't live on here forever. It's designed to securely send and receive them, not to be like a long-term storage solution. So if you go to File Removal Settings, which is right here, you have some control over that. Motif by default is 90 days no matter what. In Protected Exchange, if you want to edit that, you can. So we've actually even split it apart into QuickBooks files and all other files, just because we tend to find people don't really need QuickBooks files quite as long because they're always changing. So if you want your QuickBooks files to delete off the server after 30 days, but maybe you want all of your other files to live on here for 90 days, then you can go ahead and edit that. That's up to you how you want it to be. By default, your account will come with 30 days for both at your default. Now I'm going to pop over, I guess just while we're here, I'll just also mention this activity log is going to be your audit trail. So you're going to see a full list of everything that's happening in the system. That's just one of those extra pieces that you need to be compliant. And so that's built in here, and you have a full audit trail, and your audit trail is searchable, so you can search for specific, sends or recipients if you need to. But at this time, I'm going to pop over to clients. And this is where obviously all of your clients would live in the system. The easiest way to get your clients into the system when you're first using it is to do a bulk import and just to import all of your clients into the system at one time. And to do that, you're going to use this orange button right here that says Import Clients. And then using a CSV file, you're going to upload them into the system. So what you want to do is you want to add all of your clients to a CSV file, or you can download them from a newsletter tool, from your tax software, from your Outlook. You just want to download all of your clients' information down to a Excel spreadsheet and then save that as a CSV file. You want to make sure you at least have their first name, last name, and email, and then you can import them into the system. So I created this one here with just some sample clients, and I'm going to go ahead and choose that file and hit upload. The system will ask me to map the client information, and what this just means is these were the uploaded columns. These were the columns on my CSV, and I want to make sure that they match with fields in Protected Exchange. And the system does a pretty good job guessing the fields to match them up. So this one is good, and I'll hit continue. And then it'll show the four people that were on that spreadsheet and ask what action I want to take with them. The one that we suggest you do is import and send welcome email. And what this does is it imports these people as users into the system, and then at the same time, it's going to send them a welcome email. The welcome email looks like it's coming from you and your firm. It's branded, it has your signature, and it lets them know that you've added them into a protected exchange. It provides a link for them to log in, gives them a temporary password, and includes a video that we've actually created for your clients that shows them how to use the system. I think it's maybe a 90-second video, shows them how to log in, how to upload a file, and how to download a file. We really wanted to make it as easy for you to get your clients using this tool. So when you do this import and send welcome email, you're sort of, ideally, you're sort of done. Your clients are brought into the system, they've received communication about it, they've received instructions on how to use it, and even if they don't open the email right now, even if they wait until tax time to say, oh no, I need to get into that tool so I can send a tax return, they're in the system either way. So when they're ready, they can go ahead and go to the system and log in. If they forgot their password, they would just hit reset and reset their password to log into the system. So I'll go ahead and submit and bring these people into the system. And then the system will show me, obviously, all of my active clients right here. Inside Protected Exchange, like I had mentioned, you have a little bit more control over your clients, so you can always edit your clients' information right here. If you need to update their email or their name, you can sign in as a client. This would allow you to sign in as this client and see their dashboard. Sometimes helpful if you're trying to help them troubleshoot something. You can see files associated with just this client. So once you started sending and receiving files, any files associated with just Amanda, if I wanted to see just files I've sent to her or she sent to me, that would be this icon right here. And you do have the option now to deactivate any clients that you're not using anymore. You're not doing business with them. So that's how you get your clients into the system, and I will show you at the end where people can register themselves if they would like to. But once you have clients in here, you can start sending and receiving files. So I'm going to show you how that looks. You can choose send a file from the left navigation right here, and the send file modal will pop up. I'm going to select a file. You could choose one or multiple files. For this, we'll sort of just pretend maybe we're sending somebody a tax return back. So I'm going to choose that file here, and you can give the file a title if you'd like. It is optional. File notes are internal notes just in the system. So these would be files, these would be notes that you would only see when you're logged into the system, that you and your client would only see when you're logged into the system. And then you would choose who you want to send to. So I'm going to click this, and a drop-down will appear with all of your clients. They'll show up alphabetically, but you can always search for somebody specifically by typing their name into the search and then choosing them. In Protected Exchange, you have three options for how you want your client to be notified that you've sent them a file. The first option is a default message, which is very similar to how Motif sends them right now. They're going to get just a basic email, looks like it's coming from you, has your signature, but it's just going to say, one file has been uploaded to you. Please click the link here to log in and download the file. You also have the option to send a custom message, which I'll show you how that one looks. It's going to add an additional screen here that's going to allow me to add in a custom message that'll go along with the file. And then you also have the option to upload the file only. In this case, this client would not receive an email that you've sent them a file, so you would need to notify them another way. But it might be helpful if you've already sent them an email letting them know about that you're going to send them a file later. Maybe you're on the phone with them and they just don't need to receive an email letting them know that you sent them a file. You can always turn that off. But like I said, I'll show you how the custom message works. In this case, it will take me to a second screen that allows me to compose a custom message to send along with the file. This is really nice, especially during tax time or any time when you're sending off a lot of files at once. If you have any canned messaging you're using or any canned emails that you're sending, you can just copy and paste them right in here to sort of make it a little faster. So I'm just going to sort of paste in a canned email right here from my email account that somebody might be using that would say, please see the attached tax return. I need you to send your signature authorizations. I'm going to let this person know good news that their refund was $595. And then because I integrated this with BizPayo and I have this payment link, I could even say also, click that payment link in my signature below to make payment for $500 for our services so that we can finalize. So it's kind of nice because I can send this person their tax return. I can provide a little bit more instruction about the file or some more information about the about the file, and I can even ask for payment all in one step, as opposed to having to kind of do it in a few different steps. So if I hit send here, it would send off and get sent off to this client. So that is how the sending option works. And I'm going to return back to the dashboard. Obviously, the clients receive email notifications when you send them a file, and you'll also receive email notifications every time somebody sends you a file. When you log into your dashboard here, all of your recent files will show up right here on your main dashboard. And if you go over to File List from the left navigation, this is where you'll be able to see all files from the system. Obviously, no files have yet been sent in this account, but any files that have been sent or received would show up right here. This is where you can come to delete files if you're not using them anymore. You can also see if the client has downloaded a file and when the file is set to remove off of the server. One last thing I'm going to show you here before I sort of open it up to questions is I just want to go back to that login screen, since that's going to be the unique link that people are using to log into the system. So like I said, you get your own unique link. This is the one that'll live on your website. Once you've uploaded your clients into the system, this is where they'll come and go ahead and log into the system so that they can send or receive files. There's also two other options on this login screen. The first one is to register as a user. If the client hasn't been added as a user yet, they can go ahead and register themselves. What happens in this case is you receive an email letting you know that somebody's registered as a user, and you can either approve or disapprove them. So if it is a client or somebody you're doing business with, you can go ahead and say, yes, approve. And at that point, that person would receive an email saying, you've been approved by the accounting firm, and then it would include a link for them to log in, a temporary password, video on how to use the system. The other option is to file upload as a guest. This is a nice option if you haven't had a chance to maybe add somebody as a user. Maybe the person isn't a client yet, but they're coming in for a consultation and they want to send you something ahead of time. They can upload a file to you as a guest. It allows you to upload one file at a time. You receive an email letting you know that you've received a guest file, and it'll give you the information of the person who sent it to you. And if this is a file you want to receive, you can go ahead and approve it, and the file will come through to your system. If it looks like it's not a file that you're supposed to be getting, you can always decline the file and it'll never come through to your server. So that is essentially how the system works and sort of a brief little overview. I do see some questions coming in, so I'm going to get to those in just a second. But before I jump into Q&A, I'm actually going to open up a poll for you guys. I have a quick question that I just want to know from you guys before I jump into the question. As you know, the old file tool that's currently on your website is expiring at the end of the month. So any links that are currently on your site do need to be updated. So let me just open up this question here. Okay, so you can see the poll now, and I just want you to sort of let me know how we should proceed with the with how you want to receive your files. If you're ready for Protected Exchange, then choose I'm ready now, and we can go ahead and add you to the system and update your links. We'll do that either today or tomorrow, and you'll receive an email with access to the system. If you have another tool for sending files securely, then we will not add Protected Exchange, and any send us a file links on your website need to be updated. If one of these options for some reason doesn't work for you, then you can have us email you and we'll shoot you an email. But just to confirm that Protected Exchange will be the new file sharing tool that we provide, and that if you're currently using Motif, it will be expiring at the end of the month. So just take a second. I think that a couple of you are still voting. I'll give you another minute here to sort of give us your responses to this. And at this point, I'll go ahead and jump into your questions because like I did see some questions coming in. So I'm going to pop over here. If you think of any questions, feel free to put them in there. The first question is, when does the change over to Protected Exchange take place? So like I mentioned, the current tool that's available with your website is being terminated October 31st, so at the end of this month. The change happens at some point between this month and between right now and the end of the month for you. So when you let us know you're ready, then we go ahead and turn it on for you. And when we turn it on, we'll update all of the links on your website. So, really what we suggest you do is get moved over as soon as possible so you can get using the system before the old tool is no longer available. I see another question about the storage limits. So the storage limits that are on Protected Exchange will mimic the same storage that you had on the old system. So if you are professional hosting level, you have 1 GB of storage, and if you are a platinum hosting, you have 4 GB. So you have the same amount of storage that you had in the old system. The only difference is Protected Exchange no longer has a cap on how many users you can have. So this means that you can have as many users as you want. It's just all about how much storage you have. Let's see, once clients are imported, if we make a change in the Build Your Firm newsletter, would we have to change it here too? So I think that you mean your client lists. So the client lists on Protected Exchange are not the same as your client list on your newsletter system. Typically, people tend to have more people in their newsletter system because maybe they're also sending to prospective clients or old clients as well. So they do not speak to each other. So if you were to upload new clients into the newsletter system, you would update them into Protected Exchange as well. That being said, you can use the same CSV. So the same file that you used to upload into the newsletter system, you can just come over here and in those 2 little clicks I showed you, go ahead and upload them into Protected Exchange as well. Let's see, I have a question about, in the world of spam and viruses, sometimes I get unsolicited resumes. So I know better than to click on the links from an unknown sender. And you tell them to send you the file via Motif. Therefore, I'm assuming that Motif upload is virus-free by a built-in protection. So the way that a secure file sharing tool works is it's going to send you the file, but your computer and the tools will always do some type of virus scan for you. But the nice thing about sending it through Protected Exchange, like I said, is you immediately have to get that person's contact information. And so, you're sort of verifying that it's coming from a real person, that it's not coming from a spam person. your computer and the websites will do some sort of virus scan before it'll even let you download it. But you can't always just assume that because somebody sends you a file that it's totally virus free. If you ever see a file that's coming through and it's from somebody you don't know, it's always better to not accept the file, which is why this tool allows you to decline it if you don't want it, if it's not from somebody that you know and that you're expecting to get a file from. I hope that makes sense. All right. Can we move clients over directly from Motif? So you can't, if you're sort of saying, can you export everyone from Motif and then import them into Protected Exchange? Motif, unfortunately, doesn't have an export option. Just another one of those sort of, like I said, functionality things that was one of the reasons that we wanted to build our own system so we could build in all of those things. So unfortunately, you can't export your clients in Motif. But what I find that a lot of our clients are doing is they either have a tax software where all of their clients work, where all their clients live, and you can export right from there. You can export clients from Outlook. You can export clients from the newsletter system if you're using that. So typically you should have one other place, if you sort of think about it, that your clients are probably living, that you can download them and then import them into the system. The other option, we've moved about 100 of our clients over to Protected Exchange at this point, so we have a lot of active users already. We do have some clients who have just decided, I'm just going to add my clients as I am, let me go ahead and close this poll, as I am doing business with them. So you could also just decide to just add your clients one by one as you're sending them a file. So I hope that answers your question. For internal notes, the client does see the notes too. They don't receive the notes in the email, but if they logged into the system, they would see the notes there. So internal notes, yes, are viewable to you and the client. It does remind you of that when you're filling it out, so you don't have to remember everything. But they're internal in the sense that you only see those notes when you're logged into the system. I see a question about being able to integrate this with a DocuSign or another electronic signature service. That's a really great question. I've had that asked a few times. Currently, there isn't an e-sign or DocuSign built right into Protected Exchange. Certainly something we'd like to look at building in the future, since it's something that some of our clients have mentioned wanting since we've started doing these demos, but it currently is not set up to do that. I see another question. If I do not load my clients in as a bulk file and I just want to send a file to a client, how do I add just the client at the time I'm sending a file? So that's a great question. Like I mentioned, some of our clients have decided that they just want to add their clients as they're working with them. And you can absolutely do that. You can add clients one at a time. So I'm going to go back into my dashboard here, and I'm going to choose Account Management. And I'm going to go back to that clients section, which is the same place that I imported clients. So this orange button right here is where you would bulk import. The green button right next to it is if you just want to add a client one time. So you would just fill out their information, go ahead and add them. It would send them the same email that sends them a link to log in, temporary password, and that video on how to use the system. So you certainly can always add a client one at a time. So let me pop back out here to the dashboard. And then another question about when somebody registers, if somebody wants to register themselves or somebody wants to send you a guest file, you'll always receive an email letting you know that somebody's either registered or somebody has sent you a guest file. And any of those requests will show up right here on your dashboard under pending requests. And this is where you can approve or disapprove users or files. You would do it from right here. So you would receive an email saying, hey, somebody's registered. If you want to approve them, click here to log in and approve them. And those people would show up right here. So I'm going to pop back out here. It looks like I've gotten through all of your questions here. I see that most of you sound like you are ready to move on to Protected Exchange, which is really great. Either myself or someone on the web team will shoot you an email today or tomorrow letting you know that you've been moved in. You'll receive an email from Protected Exchange. Once you're in here, just so you know, for you and for your clients, Under the help section, which is this last option here, there's 5 video tutorials. The first one actually really just shows you how to log into the system. The other 4 are going to walk you through a lot of what we just talked about today. It walks you through how to get your account settings set up, how to add your clients, all the different ways you can add clients, send files, and even there's a little video here to show you what your customer sees, which is kind of nice. So if you want to, I suggest that you take, I think each video is maybe about a minute, take 5 or 6 minutes to pop through these videos and watch them. And if you have any staff that are going to use the system, it's a great place for them to go ahead and watch these videos so they know as well. There's also a problems and questions section, which will come straight through to our support team here. If you ever need any help with the system, that's available to you as well. Do you have to, I see a few more questions coming in here, so I'll just go ahead and cover them. Do you have to designate one email to receive all of the notifications? So inside of Protected Exchange, you have a primary on the account. So if I go into account management and I choose firm users, it's going to show me all of the users I have right now. It's going to show me who the primary user is, and this is the person that would receive the email notifications when emails are coming and going. So we tend to find that our clients will do, just like they did with Motif, they'll kind of do it one of 2 ways. They'll either have one person in the office sort of be in charge of getting those notifications and then either forwarding them on to who they belong to, or just that person is in charge of the files. The other option that we have a lot of clients do is they'll use a generic email here. They'll maybe use info at or files at your email address, and then they'll have a couple of people who receive CC'd messages of those emails. But there is one email that receives the notification to answer that question. I do see that a few people are sort of mentioning that, Motif had a lot of sort of features that was missing a lot of features that you wanted to have. And we certainly, struggled with that as well. And like I mentioned at the beginning, really, Motif certainly sent files and received files securely. It did its job, but we really wanted to add in these extra features and functionality that that we knew that you guys wanted and we knew would make it easier for you to use the tool. And that's why we really decided to bring it in-house so that we could build all of those things in. And we had lists of, requests and concerns and things that our clients had wanted with the old system. And we really built the system with that in mind. And the other really nice thing about having this system be ours is that we now can build new features in over time if it comes up that somebody wants it and it's something that enough people would like. So, if we get a lot of requests, we can look at building it into the system since now we have total control over it. So we're excited to get you guys in here. Like I said, we've got about 100 clients in here already. People seem to be really liking it, which is great because this is, it is the tool that will now be available with your site. So I will go ahead and sign off here. You will be hearing from me kind of one way or the other, whether you wanted me to shoot you an email because you had questions or you wanted me to get you moved over to Protected Exchange. So I will go ahead and weed through those and you'll hear from me a little bit later today. Thank you for taking the time to go over this with me so that we can sort of get you up to speed and get you ready to use Protected Exchange. If you have any questions, like I said, you will have my email. My email is available in the notification you got that this webinar was going live, and you'll get an email probably about an hour after this webinar just reminding you of my email if you need to get in touch with me. But I will get back to all of you that have questions as I can. Obviously, it's a big tool. We're moving everyone over, so I have had lots and lots of questions, but we will get to every single one of you. I'm glad that you guys are excited. I see some of you excited about Protected Exchange. I'm really, really glad. I really think you guys are going to like this tool a lot. And I will talk to you all very shortly. Have a great rest of your afternoon.